If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button as I continue to try and move towards 100,000 subscribers. Unlike examining the future of an airline, actually examining the situation can provide a far greater overview of how an airline or maybe a group is tracking. The more vocal the airline, not necessarily for the better of that company, but for the better for you and me to really understand just what is going on internally. And when it comes to the German flag carrier Lufthansa, well, it's been a tough few years. There have been highs, but equally there have been some significant lows. There are positives in the works and many different projects which should be uncovered as well, but from fleet to airline investments, strike action and more, what's been happening and what is the current situation? Over the past year, one of Lufthansa's biggest struggles was in labour unrest, spurred on by multiple strikes undertaken by not just one group of employees, but many across a lengthy period of time. Ultimately, this strike action was driven purely by the demand for better wages, better working conditions, and more. These demands in response to the pressures day-to-day people face with rising inflation, among more, was the hope to see these employee groups getting a pay rise to help with your daily expenses. We saw strike action across 2023 and into 2024 with walkouts staged, and this was led by unions representing your employees. On each occasion that strike action unfolded, the disruption was felt immensely across the Lufthansa network. The effect of the strike action was to cause this unrest in the operation, to therefore force Lufthansa to rethink and agree to those contractual terms that the staff were trying to get reflected on their contracts, trying to be, of course, more livable and suitable with the wage that they were being paid. Whether it was ground crew, pilots, or cabin crew, several unions were engaged in a very common goal. In response, Lufthansa entered into intense negotiations with unions that spanned across a long period of time, and as each month passed, Lufthansa would go on to agree new deals with groups of its employees, including cabin crew, pilots, and so forth, which would not just be accepted by the staff, but also mean that further strike action from this particular group of employees could be avoided. However, while these agreements helped restore operational stability and avoid further wage disruptions in the immediate future, they have cost Lufthansa dearly. The increased wages are a key part, but what I haven't spoken of are the benefit packages that are present in these revised contracts. These will raise the airline's operational expenses in each quarter, and the rise in costs comes with its challenges. Lufthansa, however, can, if you will, seek some kind of comfort in knowing that they're not the only airline, or if you want to extend it to a broader group, that has had to navigate strike action and has now seen a rise in operating expenses following the tie-up of new deals with unions and employee groups being reached. Over to Lufthansa City Airlines. This is a new regional feeder carrier under the Lufthansa Group, which was announced last year. Its primary objective is to enhance connectivity within Europe by transporting passengers from smaller airports to Lufthansa's main hubs, particularly of Frankfurt and Munich. The launch of this feeder airline is a move by Lufthansa Group as they look to optimize their network and provide more options to their customers for onward international travel, all doing so much easier than previously. The airline is set to focus on short-haul routes and will initially operate with an Airbus A320 family fleet being used within the Lufthansa Group, before they will move to the next generation A220, of which jets are already on order, which I've said time and time again, really do signal the long-term intent. If executed correctly, City Airlines will look to streamline the Lufthansa operation to and from key European markets into Germany, and it does also add another element to the Lufthansa operation that has been joked about by some people as being quite confusing with all the complexities, but the group at least believes that it is an initiative worth pursuing that will have long-term benefits. Otherwise, there's no way that they would go about continuing. Other investments include Lufthansa pursuing an involvement with ITA Airways, the successor to Alitalia, basically to strengthen the long-term presence in the Italian market where it has struggled historically. Lufthansa's plan involves integrating ITA into its broader network by a small margin initially, and then if this is successful, Lufthansa has already indicated that it would like to increase its control over ITA ITA, basically enhancing not just connectivity between Germany and Italy, but many other markets right around Europe and further away. While set to benefit Lufthansa, the move will also look to improve ITA, whose operational efficiency, service quality, and probably some would argue most profitability has had its concerns. Through joining up with Lufthansa Group and the synergies involved with this, we should see a much more streamlined operation with a lot of assets that will be behind ITA to give it the best chance of long-term success in what is not only a competitive but a challenging market. By boosting ITA's performance, Lufthansa aims to secure a stronger foothold in Italy, which should allow for increased passenger traffic and a larger market share. One of, though, the more major challenges for Lufthansa has been the ongoing supply chain issues seen at major aircraft manufacturers of Airbus and Boeing. These issues have resulted in the delayed delivery of new aircraft, disrupting Lufthansa's attempts at fleet renewal and expansion plans. The airline's ability to operate more fuel-efficient and therefore cost-effective jets has been hampered, and that's not great, as it represents a setback for the company as it transitions into, or at least attempts to, this new era. Particularly concerning for Lufthansa is on Boeing's shoulders and their inability to get the 777X certified year after year. The airline's CEO has commented on the delayed certification across the most recent months, stating that now his forecast is for a 2026 entry into service at best. They would look at integrating this plane on their scheduled operations in time for that year's summer schedule. While this is frustrating, especially when you consider that Lufthansa had initial estimations of a 2021-2022 delivery, there are also broader impacts. Take a look at the financial implications. Lufthansa has really bet its money on this widebody to replace some of its older aircraft, and the jets have been unable to do this. Because of the persistent delays, the rising demand that we've seen from the global pandemic, and of course uncertainty, Lufthansa is simply not left with enough aircraft to cover. It is also now being forced to rely on older jets that, while reliable and don't get me wrong, also are fantastic to have in situations like these, they would have otherwise been retired for these more efficient aircraft that they simply can't acquire on time. In the immediate short term, and seen as an absolute win for us aviation enthusiasts, Lufthansa is looking towards more of your older quad-engine planes, such as the A340 and the 747, retaining these to meet operational needs as best as possible. While these aircraft do provide fantastic levels of capacity, they are less fuel efficient than your newer twin-engine models, and remembering that they are aging, there are higher costs to operate and maintain them. These are all factors worth considering, and obviously would not be worth it for Lufthansa if it wasn't an absolute last-ditch attempt to mitigate the losses from certain aircraft not arriving on time, and this is just one of the many complexities of being a major airline in today's operating environment, and I won't pretend to know all of them, but you can definitely get a glimpse into just this element and everything that goes into maintaining the day-to-day fleet, and then remembering that's just one element. It's over to you now. How do you perceive Lufthansa currently? You can let me know down below in the comments. If there's anything else you'd like me to discuss in maybe a follow-up video, feel free to also drop that in the comments. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. It's really appreciated. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in a couple of days for your latest aviation analysis.